This is the Bulls 650 E 3 FS RSI. That's a mouthful, right? And 650 is referring to 650B. These are 27.5 inch diameter wheels. This is a perfect sweet spot. You know, the older mountain bikes had 26 inch. Some of the newer ones have 29, and that improves your sort of momentum, your rolling efficiency, and it goes over bumps a little easier. But there's more weight and steering sometimes. I feel like sometimes those slide a little bit. They just aren't as fast. So this is a good middle ground, and one that I appreciate. You know, I reviewed a very similar bike from Bulls. It's like a 29er, and I like it, but you know, it does raises the bike a little bit. So this is kind of my preference right here. The bike comes in 3 different sizes and has this nice sort of sloping top tube, so it's really approachable. 120 millimeters of travel, RockShox front and rear, good stuff. And you've even got remote lockout on the front. So you know, if you're riding and you're transitioning from climbing to kind of dropping downhill, you can do that pretty easily. Of course, you've also got some rebound adjust right there on the Monarch in the back. Like, a lot of really good components going on here. And one that really stood out to me is this little chain tensioner. Not only does it raise the chain a little bit and just keep it tighter and potentially from bashing the chainstay, even though they've got this awesome like plastic cover, it's also narrow wide teeth pattern, so it's going to prevent kind of that slipping that can sometimes happen when you're really pedaling and the chain's bouncing up and down. You'll notice that there's like even a hood, so it keeps the chain elevated but also protected from the top. I love that. I think if you've got like a 15 tooth front sprocket, it's up to the manufacturer what size they want to do, and this is a Bosch powered e-bike, and so there's, you know, kind of a range. 15 teeth is definitely a smaller sprocket, and that's going to be better for climbing, right? And then they've got an 11-speed cluster in the rear, Dior XT component group, 11 to 40 teeth, really good stuff. So 11 speeds, that's definitely going to help you, again, climbing or hitting some of those top speeds, maybe even going beyond 20 mile per hour top speed on the Bosch drive system here. And this one's using the Power Pack 400. It's really 396 watt hours, but great range on these, just really efficient system. Being a mid-drive, of course, it keeps the weight low and centered. It's relatively efficient if you shift properly, but then the concern is, oh, is it going to wear my chain and my sprockets? Well, this one has shift sensing, so it's software driven. It's designed to identify when you're using those trigger shifters up here and tell the motor to kind of like cut out a little bit so that it's not causing that mashing that you sometimes get on cheaper systems. I like that they've got a big kind of oversized, almost a bash guard here. It's not really a bash guard because you've got this plate, and a lot of times on bikes, you know, the chain ring extends below the down tube. That's not the case here because of the smaller chain ring, but it's still, this is going to protect it a little bit. It's going to keep the chain from coming off, and I like the smaller design that Bosch has gone with because the motor can run at a higher RPM, which is more efficient. Does produce a little bit more noise. So while we're out there testing it, you might hear in the background, you know, I'll put the camera down there, but it's like ring, ring. You know, it's not super loud, but it's a little bit more noticeable. It's kind of like what you come to expect from Bosch. One of my favorite drive systems out there, of course. This is a 350 watt rating, that's nominal rating, and then it has 75 Newton meters of torque because this is their CX drive, so it's meant for off-roading, a little bit more powerful, really zippy. You know, when you compare this to something like the Bros drive system, which Bulls also carries on their other bikes, it's more noticeable. Kind of zippy is the word I'd use to describe it. Of course, you've got different levels of assist, so you can change that feeling and really maximize speed or just slow and smooth, but it's much more noticeable. So that's kind of what you're getting with this. And some people really like this. Other people say, you know, I don't want to see the battery. I don't want to hear the motor. I want it to be really smooth and kind of a minimal interaction. I would go with the Bros in that case. But this bike is priced pretty well. It's $45.99. So for $4,600 about, you get the Bosch system plus, like, I think a pretty good looking bike in a few different sizes. And then, of course, some of the other extras I'm going to get to. So FSA cranks. You'll notice that there's these kind of cage-style pedals, and they're getting bent up because this is a demo bike. I usually replace those. I go online and get like the Welgo magnesium pedals, or maybe you get some clipless where you click in with your some nice custom shoes. We've got 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, front and rear, Shimano, good stuff. And quick release front and rear. That's another benefit of a mid-drive. So really nice. It's kind of an oversized axle in the rear right there. And I think we've got a 15mm through axle in the front. So awesome stuff, just really sturdy. It's going to help keep that wheel straight and power through some of those, rockier, rougher terrains. I would call this kind of like a cross-country bike, but again, it's more capable if you do want to go hardcore. And coming back to this plate, this is really cool. It's like an aluminum plate, and it's got these like heat venting holes in the bottom. Just neat to see someone, or rather a company, taking a different approach to this motor integration, because each company is a little different plastic and stuff. This one's really hardcore. It's pretty thick too if you look close at it. So I like that. I think that's a pretty good kind of a walk around. Tapered headset, also going to give you some extra strength. Good wire integration, clean. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing, and I was weighing it earlier, and it's about 49.5 pounds, and I'm on the 18-inch right now, so it's kind of like a medium, good size for me. I'm only like 5'9", so yeah, that's awesome. Let me think here. Things that I didn't see on it was like a bottle cage, because there really isn't room. There's no bottle cage bosses or anything. There's nowhere to really mount a rack. This is an off-road bike. 30.9mm seat post there if you wanted to swap that for some other lighter, maybe like a carbon seat post or something. I see people doing that a little bit more these days, with like carbon cranks and even lighter chain rings and stuff, or sprockets in the rear. There's a lot that could be upgraded, but the stock stuff's decent, including these locking Ergon grips. Gotta love that. Ergon's great company. So let's talk about how this thing actually works. Of course, the battery is locking and removable. You don't have to leave it on the frame all the time. You can take it off, and that's gonna lighten the load like 5.5 pounds. If you're lifting this and hanging it off the back of your car, bringing it inside is gonna help prolong the life of the battery and just keep it safe and stuff. The rest of the bike's pretty durable if you have to leave it at a rack, and it's got like a little power level indicator on the side, LED. This is the actual charging port down here. Pretty easy to access, and it's the same pattern when you plug directly into the battery, whether it's on or off the bike. I love that. Good locking core here. I think Abus was providing that locking core initially, and it's just, there's a metal plate. Like, it's sturdy, but again, the battery is a little bit more exposed here. Like, you can see the battery. The good news is you can swap them really quick, and Bosch batteries are all kind of the same. So if you're someone who plans to ride longer distances more regularly, that's going to be a good choice. And they even have newer batteries now that are like 500 watt hours, so you can extend your range even further. So that's great, and it kind of fits in the same interface. So controlling this bike is really simple. Like, you just come up here and press the power button. I've already done that, and so it's lit up here, and we're on tour mode. I was using that to cruise around here a moment ago, and all of these different levels can be chosen using this remote button pad. So minus to go down, or plus to go up. And as you change, you can actually get some feedback about how far the bike thinks you can go with your existing battery capacity. So I'm gonna pressing the information button here, but on the button pad. And I'm gonna get over to range. Thinks we can go 91 miles on eco mode. That's awesome. And I think it does some sampling of like the last 5 miles you've ridden. So that's cool. Go up to tour, sport, and then turbo, and it goes all the way down to 29. So, you really see it's like a third of the range that it thinks you can go, but you're getting a lot more power. You're really maximizing that boost from the drive system. No integrated lights or anything, but that's what this button is for, and it actually does turn on like the backlighting of the display, which is cool. The displays are removable, easy to take off, and they've even got like a little integrated micro USB. I don't think it's super powerful. It's just kind of like it might maintain your cell phone or your portable electronics. Just kind of a cool, nice to have feature. And again, as with the battery, if you break your display or lose it or something, you can always get another one pretty easy. They're pretty easy to find. And you'll notice that the bar here is like a low rise, not real high, and the stem's pretty aggressive, and I think it might even be flipped on this one because whoever was riding it was going hardcore. But if you're bombing a hill with this and you do go for like enduro or downhill, you might want to take that display off just in case you crash. It doesn't get busted up on you. Because the rest of the bikes, it's like a regular bike. Love that. So, okay, I think it might be time to hop on this thing and just pedal it around a little bit and see what we can do. I'm going to start it off in turbo mode, which is the highest, just so you can hear that motor. and get a feel for how quickly it responds. It's measuring my rear wheel speed right there with that traditional magnet sensor. I'm also measuring kind of the pedal cadence and pedal torque. So that's a lot, and it's doing it like 2,000 times a second, which is just ridiculous. This is also software updatable, and I've seen that before where they take the older version of the motor and they optimize it, how it's using the battery and the torque that you're getting. And Bosch is a serious company. They do a pretty good job with their stuff. Actually, before I get on, I want to call out the Schwalbe Rocket Ron tires, by the way. I mentioned 27.5. I think these are 2.25 diameter. Just quality. Schwalbe's known for doing good stuff, and I think they might even be tubeless ready. Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to pedal. I mean, so quickly you're getting pretty high speed. It doesn't take a lot to get to that 20 mile per hour top speed, assisted top speed on this bike. No throttle or anything, so this is just a class 1 electric bike. It's the most, it's kind of the lowest level, most commonly acceptable, reasonable sort of electric bike. A lot of bikes are starting to become speed pedelecs and stuff, but on mountain biking trails and things, this is still a really popular choice. You might have seen the chainring spinning a little bit and stopping just almost immediately when I stopped pedaling. And I might try to do some shifting if you can listen to the motor respond to that too. Bit of mashing because I was actually climbing up that hill. It's amazing to be able to do that with one hand while riding the bike and shifting and everything. The power is it's really fluid delivery. So don't let the 350 watt rating of the Bosch system scare you away when we have now 750 watt hub motors and stuff. This thing's super powerful. It's really reliable, and it's one of my favorite motors. So to see it on a bike like this, you get that comfort of full suspension, pretty cool look in different sizes. It's a good one. I like it. So that was arguably the fun stuff, going down and coasting, being careful on that cliff edge. But now we're gonna go back up, and I just, want to see how fast we can go and what it feels like, and you can really get a sense for what that motor offers, and hopefully get a good view as well. So I'm gonna shift down a little bit here once I get a little bit of momentum. Okay, now we're going back up that same trail. 14 miles per hour. No problem. Oh boy. 17, almost 20. See those birds drafting in the distance. Pretty awesome. So for the full write-up on this and some other Bulls electric bikes and full suspension models and stuff, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And of course, ride safe.